After lots of teasing and community hype, Studio 397 released the competition system in beta. Life sparked back into rFactor 2 public racing, and it really looked like it was going to compete with other systems. It didn't have too many features yet, but it showed a lot of potential. Then GT Challenge started pulling massive grids, Formula Challenge got added when the Formula Pro got released and pulled the same numbers. They started scheduling everything in racing seasons. Touring Car Challenge started, Race of the Season race are organized. Sounds like all the ingredients are there for a good competition system with great participation, right? Let's first start with the positives. Formula Challenge still runs for good numbers. GT Challenge, which on hiatus now, will return next season in probably a bit different format, so that will attract people to the most popular racing class once again. Touring Car Challenge has consistently good numbers with some good racing. Now, here is where the problems start. The hourly race in the Rookie Series and in the Formula Sprint are quite empty. In the 6 weeks of Season 2, the Rookie Cup had 770 races, of which 300 were completely empty. This might make sense as people have jobs and need sleep, and the player base is mostly European, but then you find out that only 41 races had more than 8 drivers. 1 week there was only 1 race which had more than 8 drivers, 10 to be exact. The Open Wheel Series had even worse numbers. Then there's the Formula Challenge, which still is being hampered by races going wrong by, for example, splits not being set right. Still, there are races which don't work at all in other series, which most recently the LMP2 race events at Le Mans before the real live 24 Hour of Le Mans. This sparked lots of concerns, even with high-profile drivers. Risto Capet, for one, said, "I wish that the CS was either fixed or shut down." He goes more deeply into these bugs and problems on his rFactor 2 forum thread, and I suggest you check that out there. But back on topic. If Studio 397 fixed those bugs and started putting some love into the competition system, there is a massive list of things missing that need to be added. People tend to call out driver ratings the most, but I do not think that's the most important thing. What I think is most important is starting to utilize the strengths rFactor 2 already has. One thing that attracts the eyes of the drivers are the big events, as mentioned, the 24 Hour of Le Mans, the Indy 500, Nürburgring 24, the Bathurst 12 Hours. You can go on about these high profile events. So, with the content rFactor 2 has, which could they do? Well, quite a few. They have the Nordschleife, they have Le Mans, they have Daytona, they've got Indianapolis, they've got GT3 cars, they have the IR18, they have stock cars, they've got LMP cars, and you can keep going on. So, how many of those do they do in the competition system? Well, to be exact, none. Why don't they do such an obvious thing when rFactor 2 is famous for being great for endurance racing? Just look at Le Mans Virtual and Virtual Endurance Championship, those pull out massive numbers. Well, the answer to that is quite simple. The competition system doesn't support driver swaps. They did the rFactor 24 before the CS was a thing, but since they wanted to move that over into the competition system, they simply didn't do them at all. Oval racing isn't possible in the competition system either. The plugin required for oval racing isn't supported in the competition system. And it's not that great to begin with. Then you might think, if you can't do endurance races, why not do 2.4 hour single driver races like other sims sometimes do? Well, for Le Mans the reason is simple. Aside from driver swaps, multiclass racing also still isn't supported yet. But we have Monza, Spa and the Nürburgring, right? GT3 cars are made for those and are very popular in sim racing. Well, interestingly, they don't even have a GT3 series running this season. And for this, I simply don't have an explanation at all. When GT Challenge was running every other week, it was already very little using the popularity that the GT3 class has. Even though it will probably return next season, having a single season at all without GT3 cars is just unacceptable to me. On top of that, if they do a challenge series again in the GT3 class, they need to give it some love as well. Currently, the Touring Car Challenge has not been mentioned at all since it started this season. There's no live stream, no post, no promotion at all. It could be so much more if it did get promoted on their socials, but they seem to not care at all. If this is done to the upcoming GT Challenge series, it will be a massively missed opportunity continuing the current downward spiral of the competition system. This all needs to change. Driver swaps, multi-class racing, big events, then you can think of ratings and getting people to drive the lower end series to work on that rating, as they want to do those big popular events. This attracts serious teams to race in the competition system, and this is not something people used to think about, but custom skin support goes hand in hand with that. So, this is what I think one of the main ways to get people to drive the competition system again. I also think that they should not wait too long, as there's competition lurking around the corner.